I've generated over $40 million in pipeline for my 30 active clients from around 3 million plus cold emails that we're sending every month. So in this video, I'm going to answer the most common questions that I get from B2B companies who are looking to scale their business with a predictable cold email system. We have a ton of different questions here, ranging from mindset and foundation in the beginning. We'll get into some of the infrastructure side. And then towards the end, I'll actually share some of the strategies and copywriting tactics we're using inside our agency to generate pipeline for our B2B clients. We've pulled the most common questions from all of our sales transcripts over the past 6 months, and I have 60 seconds to answer each one. And at the bottom of this video on the play bar, we actually have timestamps for the individual questions so you can bounce around as needed. All right, starting with mindset and foundation. Number one, a very common question I still get is, does cold email still work in 2026? You know what my answer is going to be. Of course it works, because I have the data to show it. However, the way most people think about cold email actually doesn't work anymore. They think about sequencing and having an SDR, maybe set up a system, send 100, 200 emails. They're sending follow-ups and they're not really providing any value. They're really just begging and hoping for a meeting. They're thinking if they just get the touch point out there, hopefully something good will happen. And hope is not a strategy. Cold email works when you can craft a good offer and you can run high volume to that offer. Now that becomes a skill in itself when you actually need to understand the infrastructure side, which we'll get into, to send high volume cold email. Next question. Is cold email dead? In the similar vein to our last question, the traditional way of cold email is dead. For most businesses, especially if you're in a large market, paying an SDR or a BDR to go and actually send manual emails is not the move anymore. The tools have become too good. The automated research that you can do at scale has become too good, and your market is too big for you to not be aggressively putting your business in front of your prospects at regular time intervals. The cold email that's not dead is when you really treat it like a marketing channel. Don't be afraid to let your prospects know that you exist. Find a way to help them out and provide value. One good email to your entire market every 90 days is going to do a lot better than 5 emails to the same individual prospects over the course of 15 days. Why do people say cold email doesn't work? Again, I might start to sound like a broken record here, but it's really important to drill this point home. If cold email didn't work for you, you didn't have the right systems or you didn't have the right strategy. On the strategy side, what I'm looking at specifically here is how intentional you were around the emails you were sending. Were you sending emails just for the sake of sending emails and hoping something would come back in? Or did you have a specific understanding of how big your market is, how much volume you're doing every week, and what offers or messaging you're split testing? Were you segmenting your market anyway and changing your offer or your messaging? Most people I talk to have zero strategy. They haven't put any work together before they actually go out and send these emails. They'll write a copy document with 5 different follow-ups and hope that that works. The new strategy that prints is when you have an understanding of your market, you've built a list that has every single decision maker in your market, and you build a system around that that can get your offer in front of every decision maker in your market over the course of 30 to 90 days. Don't do any follow-ups and split test different offers and different messaging. You'll learn much quicker what's working, and you'll stop ruining your brand reputation with these lazy follow-ups. Cold email versus Facebook ads. Which one works? I'll tell you right now for free, they both work. The more channels you can run as a business owner, as a company, the better you are going to do. A lot of people will tell you early focus on one channel until you master it and then continue to tack on new channels. I think any mature business needs an outbound system that covers their market over a specified time frame. Cold email allows you to do that systematically. You know how big your market is. You've built a list around it. You know what your offers are. Now you need to get in front of these people before your competitors do. There's that saying that 3 to 5% of your market is in a buying window at any given time. They need to know that you exist. So you need to capture that demand and then generate additional demand on top. Cold email and Facebook ads both allow you to do that. If you can, run both. Don't people hate getting cold emails? Yes. People hate getting bad cold emails. People hate getting lazy follow-ups. This is why we preach send one good email. If they don't reply, try them again in 60 days on a new email thread. They're not going to remember you in the first place. And if they do, it'll actually help your chances when you don't send them a lazy email or you're not saying, hey, just following up on my last message. People hate getting irrelevant emails. If you're emailing the CEO of a restaurant company and you're talking like you're emailing a partner at a law firm, they're going to hate your email and they're going to report you to spam. When you build a quality list and your messaging matches the strategy and the list that you've built, it means you have a relevant list and a relevant offer, and you're going to get strong replies from that. Will cold email ruin my brand reputation? It will if you let it. That's obvious. Again, if you're sending lazy emails and you don't actually care about the strategy, you're just trying to get volume for the sake of it, it will ruin your brand reputation. If you're just sending one email that's relevant to your ideal customer profile and you're offering to provide some sort of value, or even just saying, hey, just reaching out, I'm here if you need me, I can guarantee you the sentiment on your replies will be overwhelmingly positive, and it will actually improve your brand reputation rather than harm it. Do people still reply to cold emails? Yes, of course they do. It is harder to land in the inbox, and that's where you see most people fail. They can actually land in the primary inbox from the start because they don't set up the system the right way. But once you land and you're providing value and you're hitting the right people, 100% people will respond. How many emails should I send per day? First thing you want to do is get an understanding of how large your market is. If you have 100,000 people in your market and you want to hit every single one of them every 30 days, then you need to be sending 100,000 emails a month. Call it 20 business days in a month. You want to be sending 5,000 emails per day. If you have 100,000 people in your market and you want to hit them every 60 days, then you want to be sending 50,000 emails a month, 2,500 emails a day. So first, identify the size of your market and the type of system that you want to run. The larger your market, the more emails you can and should send. The smaller your market, the more methodical you need to be here about how you're actually going to approach them. You might want to run more segmented, focused campaigns and probably additional sequences on top of that. Should I use my primary domain for cold email? Absolutely not. Do not do that. Set up secondary infrastructure that allows you to scale confidently and is only used for cold email. It will not harm your primary infrastructure in any way, shape, or form, and you can actually start sending cold emails with confidence. How many inboxes and domains do I need? It really depends on the type of volume that you want to run, but you always want to buy secondary domains and use a reseller to put Microsoft and Google inboxes on top of them. I'll link to our worksheet that shows you exactly how many domains you should buy and how many inboxes you need depending on the type of sending volume that you want to run. Google versus Microsoft inboxes. Which are better? This is a very tricky question, and again, it's context dependent. Google inboxes we see typically perform better and have longer lasting lives, but they're more expensive for the amount of sending volume that you can get out of them. Outlook or Microsoft inboxes don't always last as long, but it is much cheaper. So when you're running a high volume strategy, you definitely want to be adding some Microsoft inboxes in there just to make it more cost efficient. You're going to want Google inboxes and Microsoft inboxes and test which one actually works best for your market. Once you start to get some signal, then you can double down on a certain inbox provider. But it's different for every market, and so we always purchase a mix of both and test what's working. What's a good reply rate for cold email? I'll tell you something that I think is controversial. Your reply rate doesn't matter. Unless it's incredibly low, like nearing 0%, your positive reply rate is the most important number to track. Your positive reply rate tells you how many positive conversations you guys are actually having, how many people are responding interested. If you've had 10 replies and 2 are positive, then you have a 20% positive response rate. That's a healthy number on a cold list. What positive response rate is good is totally dependent on your industry. If you're in cybersecurity or IT, a 3% positive response rate can be really good. If you have an incredible offer like, hey, I'll buy your business, you want to see your positive response rate in that 15 to 20% range. You want to optimize for that positive response number. And ultimately, of course, you want to optimize for how much pipeline are we generating and how much revenue are we creating. Because also the better the sentiment of your responses, the better your infrastructure is going to perform over time. And ultimately, of course, revenue is the most important thing. We've had clients with reply rates below 1%, but our positive response rate is so high and we're sending so much volume that we're crushing it. Other businesses where the market isn't as large and we're not sending as much volume, we need higher reply rates and also higher positive response rates to drive that same outcome. How do I know if my emails are working? If you've sent a certain amount of volume, call it 1,000 plus emails, and you haven't generated responses, then it's not working. Your infrastructure is dead. If you're not getting even out of office or automated responses, your infrastructure is dead and you need to start over. This is where I see most people get tripped up because they can't even get off the starting block because the infrastructure they set up and started on is too shaky. Either they didn't set up proper secondary infrastructure, or they're sending way too much volume, or their message is riddled with spam words. There's a whole bunch of things that could be going on. But at the end of the day, if you're not generating replies, even negative replies, the cold emails aren't working. If you are generating replies, but you're not getting interested replies, your offer, your positioning, or your targeting is off, and you need to go in and find that out. Is cold email too expensive to set up? Not at all. There are resellers who will sell you Google Workspaces and Outlook inboxes at a discount to retail price. They will manage that process for you. You can expect ideally to get a high volume setup for under $1,000 a month on the infrastructure side. Where it can get really expensive is when you add on the infrastructure, you invest in a real sequencer like Email Bison to send emails from rather than a mass market tool. And when you start sending high volume, your lead building and enrichment costs can get quite expensive. However, if you run this properly, it should be one of your lowest cost acquisition channels for your business. Do you need a huge team to do cold email? Absolutely not. You can run this efficiently with one person sitting at the top running the campaigns and then sales reps below handling the leads as they come in. But I would always make sure that one person is dedicated and has a ton of time to own this channel. The same way you would hire somebody to run your paid ads channel, you need to hire someone to run the cold email channel for you because it will take time. You do need to build the right lists. You do need to build the strategies. You do need to monitor and manage the infrastructure. There are a bunch of different variables that go on that need your attention for this to succeed. Okay, moving on to delivery and infrastructure. Number one, why are my emails going to spam? There could be a lot of different reasons why your emails are going to spam. Most likely reason is that you're spamming your market. You're either hitting the wrong leads with the wrong offer, so your targeting and your messaging is off, or you're following up too many times with the same lead when they already are not interested, hence why they're not responding to you, and they start to get annoyed and report you to spam after that second, third, or fourth bad email. Think about it this way. If you are hitting the right people with the right message and providing value to your market, you are by definition not a spammer. And your emails, therefore, will not land in spam. So if you are landing in spam, rethink your entire strategy because if I had to guess, you're trying to push too hard for the sale and you're not really doing all the upfront work that you need to be doing on the list building and the strategy side. This obviously leads to the next question is how do you stay out of spam? Number one, have a super clean list. Make sure that you're actually hitting the right people, that they have valid emails, but more importantly, that you hit who you actually want to hit. If I'm targeting CEOs of small to medium-sized businesses, and I email the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, that email's not going to land well with him, right? He doesn't check his email, of course, I'm sure he has somebody do it, but they're gonna report you to spam because they don't care about your extra 10 to 15 leads or whatever your offer is every single month. Most importantly, you need to be hitting the right person with the right message. You start hitting irrelevant people with irrelevant offers and you're going to get reported to spam. Secondly is just have good infrastructure. What we talked about earlier, make sure you're setting up on secondary infrastructure, giving it time to warm up and running the right system. Should I warm up my domains and for how long? All of your domains, all of your inboxes should be on automatic warm up at all times. And it should be matched 100% to your cold email sending volume. So if you have a Google inbox that's sending 15 cold emails a day, you should always have warm up on that is also sending 15 warm up emails per day. What kills deliverability the fastest? Nothing kills your deliverability faster than hitting the wrong people with the wrong message. Too many times people will pull a really large list from a database. They won't do any sort of cleaning or lead scoring work on it. They will type up some messaging about how they will, whatever they're going to do and offer to jump on a call. Nothing engaging about the email to the wrong people. They're going to get pissed and they're going to report you to spam. That immediately will tank your deliverability. When should I scale to 10,000 plus emails daily? This is a great question, and we intentionally structure our engagements with clients to make sure that we are finding winning campaigns first and then scaling them up with you or for you. When you start, you should initially start at maybe a couple thousand emails a day, testing a few different campaign strategies. You want to identify winning campaigns quickly, meaning you want to find message market fit. Which markets are resonating with which message? Once we find those winning campaigns, you can then start to scale them up as much as possible because your infrastructure, your solid reply rates, and your healthy conversations that you're having over email will protect your infrastructure and actually allow you to start sending that volume confidently without burning your infrastructure. How do I avoid burning my email infrastructure? Kind of like what we just talked about. You want to start slow and start methodical, testing a few different campaign strategies that you have high confidence in. Once you start to find campaigns that are performing at or above your baseline KPIs, then you can start ramping up the volume. But if you start coming out of the gates with campaigns that you don't even know are going to work and you're sending thousands and thousands and thousands of emails a day from them, you're never going to give yourself a chance and you're going to have to continuously start restarting campaigns and infrastructure over, and you're never going to get off the ground. What's ESP matching and why does it matter? ESP matching is simply when you track which types of inboxes Google, Microsoft, or SMTP you are using and which type of inboxes your prospects that you are emailing are using, and you set up specific campaigns to see which inbox to inbox match performs the best. It is different for every market, and that is why it is so important to test. We have seen some clients where Google to Google is the highest performer. We've seen other clients where Outlook to Outlook is the best performer. And we've seen other clients where a mix of Outlook to Google or Google to Outlook are the best performers. And other times it simply doesn't matter at all, but we need to know so that we can properly scale your campaigns. Moving on to copy and strategy. Number one, what makes people actually respond to cold emails? People respond to cold emails when they feel like it is relevant to them, when they feel like you are a trusted source who can help them with whatever you say that you're going to help them with. Tactically, people respond to shorter emails that provide some sort of value, some sort of education, or some sort of low friction CTA, meaning something that is easy for them to say yes to. Think about what you can provide in your emails that would make it incredibly easy for your prospects to say yes. I like to use the $1 million offer framework here. If I emailed you and offered you $1 million to take a call, would you do that? For sure you would. Obviously, I'm not going to offer you $1 million to take a call. So let's keep working down until we find something reasonable that I can offer you that is valuable to your business, and we know it's a value. I also like to offer to send custom videos for clients to show them what it would look like to scale through cold email working with us. How long should my cold emails be? For most markets, your emails should be less than 75 words, ideally even less than 50 words. Find ways to be snappy, quick, and to the point. Your offer and your low friction CTA will do a ton of the carrying here for you. If you're in more of a technical market like IT, cybersecurity, or software development, you can get a little bit more in-depth in your emails, or maybe even use a couple different emails, break them up over 30 days to help drive more education. However, I would always keep the email short and offer to send educational or marketing assets through cold email as your low friction CTA. What makes a good cold email offer? This is a great question, and I always go back to the low friction CTA. I also always think about providing value. Value in the sense of cold email isn't an audit, it's not a consultation. It's something that me and the prospect can obviously agree on has some sort of monetary value attached to it, right? So if I offer to build you a custom campaign strategy, they understand that my time and effort is going to go into that campaign strategy for them, and that is actually valuable to them in the chance that they do or are interested in running cold emails. Should I personalize every email? You don't have to. What's more important than being personalized is being relevant. So if I am emailing, again, CEOs of small to medium-sized businesses in the accounting niche, I'm going to call out the problems that small to medium-sized business CEOs in the accounting niche are dealing with. That is relevant. It is slightly personalized. More importantly, we are relevant to the prospect, right? So you don't need to talk about what they posted on LinkedIn or what it says on their website. More importantly, you need to show that you understand their problem and that you can solve it. How many follow-ups should I send? This is a great question. I think when most people launch their own campaigns, they immediately start writing 3 to 4 different follow-up emails. Do not send any follow-up emails until you have accurately identified winning campaigns. It doesn't make sense. You're wasting time, you're ruining your deliverability, and you're wasting sends running follow-ups on campaigns that aren't even working from the first email. Start with a wide approach, test a lot of different campaigns, and test one really good email. If you start to see success on a campaign, then you can start layering in follow-ups every 30, 60, or 90 days. But again, we don't want to exhaust our market too early. How do I turn replies into meetings? This is a great question. And of course, the number one answer here is going to be speed to lead. The most common issue that we see when clients handle their own leads is they are not responding quickly enough. That is why we staff our clients with inbox managers who are paid to sit there and respond to leads and book them in as soon as they come in. If you are running a low friction CTA like a video asset or sending them to your funnel, you should always provide that asset in the follow-up email and then send times to book a meeting. Do not send your Calendly link because that is too much work. Instead, say, here's the asset that I promised you. I would love to meet and walk you through this in more detail. How does Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern or Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern look for you? I would never offer to meet at Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, so bad example. How do I write emails that don't sound salesy? Write the email that you would want to receive if you were a prospect. Keep it under 50 words and find ways to provide value to your market. If you're too busy to find ways to provide value to your market, what are you doing? That doesn't make sense. There's always some sort of easy, low friction front end offer that you can provide to your prospects, whether it's educational, informational, or actually delivering something for them that will get them interested in your emails. Don't use big words. Write at a 3rd grade reading level and keep it very short and very snappy. That is the most common questions that I get from prospects and clients about running cold email. And hopefully that clears up some of the questions that you had on your plate. I know we didn't go super in depth on any of those individual questions. So if you do have more specific questions or you want more specific answers, sound off in the comments below, let me know, and we'll get back to you with more in-depth answers. If you're running a B2B company and you want to scale cold email the right way with an aggressive, high volume, relevant strategy, there's a link to our funnel below to learn more about our offer, and then book in a time to meet with us, and we'll see if it makes sense. See you next time.